The receptionist didn't even look up when I walked through the glass doors that Monday morning, just kept typing, her French-tipped nails clicking against the keyboard like little hammers on a coffin. I'd been walking through these doors for 16 years. 16 years of arriving at 7:30, coffee in hand, nodding to whatever young thing they'd stationed at the front desk that particular month. This one was new, blonde, expensive highlights that probably cost more than my first car. "Graham Alder," I said, "R&D, 5th floor." She glanced up, smiled that corporate smile they teach in some manual somewhere. "1 moment, please." 1 moment stretched into 3, then 5. She was looking at her screen like it contained nuclear launch codes, her smile freezing into something uncomfortable. "Is there a problem?" I asked. "Mr. Hather would like to see you in his office first." Mr. Hather, Cole Hather, the new director they'd brought in during the restructuring last month. I'd never met him. Nobody in R&D had. I should have known then. Should have turned around and walked right back out those doors. But I'm not that smart. Never have been. "Fine," I said. "Where's his office?" "3rd floor, southwest corner. Security will escort you." Security. The word landed wrong, like a coin dropped down a well. You don't hear the splash right away, but you know it's coming. A kid in a blue uniform materialized beside me. Couldn't have been more than 25, with that eager puppy look they all have before corporate life beats it out of them. "This way, sir." We took the elevator in silence. He kept his eyes forward, hands clasped in front of him like he was guarding the president. I studied my reflection in the polished steel doors, 56 years old, gray at the temples, lines around the eyes that hadn't been there 5 years ago, before my wife died, before everything got complicated. The elevator chimed. 3rd floor. Cole Hather's office was exactly what I expected. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the parking lot, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than my annual salary, and a desk the size of a ping-pong table. Not a single paper in sight. Everything digital, everything clean. The man behind the desk was younger than I'd imagined. Mid-40s, maybe. Dark hair gelled back, designer glasses, suit that fit like it had been painted on. He didn't stand when I entered, didn't offer his hand, just smiled. "Graham Alder," he said, like he was tasting my name. "Have a seat." I sat. The chair was deliberately low, one of those power play tricks. Made you look up at whoever was behind the desk. I'd read about it in some business book my wife used to keep on the nightstand. "I'll make this quick," Hather said. He slid a manila folder across the desk. "Your position has been eliminated as part of our operational restructuring. Your termination is effective immediately. Sign the last page." I stared at the folder, didn't touch it. "You're firing me." "Restructuring," he corrected, that smile still locked in place. "Nothing personal. The company is moving in a new direction. Your skill set no longer aligns with our strategic objectives." My skill set. I'd designed the micro-rotor systems that powered half the products this company sold. I held 3 patents on rotational efficiency improvements that had saved them millions in manufacturing costs. My skill set had built the foundation they were standing on. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. "Since my first day. I'm the new director, Mr. Alder. Consider yourself already replaced." There it was, the real smile underneath the corporate one, the smile of a raccoon that just found an unlocked dumpster. I opened the folder. Standard termination paperwork. 2 weeks severance. Continuation of health insurance for 30 days. A non-disparagement clause that basically said I couldn't tell anyone they'd thrown me out like expired milk. "You need me to sign this now?" "Yes." "In front of you?" "Yes." I picked up the pen he'd left on top of the folder, clicked it once. The sound was very loud in that big, empty office. My hand was steady. That surprised me. I thought it might shake, thought I might feel something. Anger, maybe. Fear. But there was just this cold clarity, this understanding that I'd been outmaneuvered by someone who probably couldn't tell a rotor from a radiator. I signed. Last page, right above the line. Graham Alder in my usual scrawl. Excellent, Hather said, taking the folder back. Security will escort you to collect your personal effects. You'll need to surrender your badge and any company property before you leave. That's it? That's it. I stood. The chair made a sad little wheeze as the pneumatics released. I turned toward the door, where the security kid was waiting, then stopped. You moved fast, I said, not looking back at Hather. Awful fast for someone who just started 3 weeks ago. Almost like you already knew exactly who you were going to cut. Silence behind me. I could feel his smile faltering. Business is about decisiveness, Mr. Alder. Sure, I said. Decisiveness. I let the security kid escort me to the elevator. We rode up to the 5th floor. He waited outside my cubicle while I packed the box they'd helpfully left on my desk. A few photos. A coffee mug Evan had given me for Father's Day years ago, back when he still pretended to care. Some pens. A stapler I'd bought myself because the company ones were garbage. 16 years fit into a cardboard box. I was halfway to the elevator when my phone buzzed. Not my cell. The office phone I'd left on my desk. I could hear it ringing through the cubicle wall, tinny and desperate. The security kid looked at me. You need to get that? Not my phone anymore, I said. We took the elevator down. I turned in my badge at the front desk. The blonde receptionist took it without a word, dropping it into a drawer like it was contaminated. I walked out through those glass doors with my box of garbage under one arm, and the automatic locks clicked behind me with a sound like a cell door closing. My car was in the far corner of the lot, where I always parked. Gave me the walk. Good for the heart, my wife used to say. Good for clearing your head before you spend 9 hours under fluorescent lights solving other people's problems. I set the box in the passenger seat, got behind the wheel, sat there with my hands on the steering wheel, staring at the building I'd just been kicked out of. My phone rang, my actual cell phone. I didn't recognize the number. Answered anyway. Mr. Alder, this is Jennifer Cross from Legal. We need you to come back inside. There's been a situation. I was just terminated, I said. Pretty sure I'm not supposed to be inside your building anymore. I understand, but this is urgent. It's about your employment contract, the original one. From 2009. 2009. I'd signed that contract in a different building, at a different desk, with a different director, before the company got bought out, before the restructuring, before my wife got sick. What about it? We need to discuss it in person. Can you come back to the 3rd floor? Conference room B? I looked at my box of personal effects. At the building where I'd just been humiliated by a man half my age who probably couldn't change his own oil. I'll be there in 5 minutes, I said. I left the box in the car, walked back toward those glass doors. The blonde receptionist saw me coming and her eyes went wide. She picked up her phone, said something quick and quiet. The doors were locked. I stood there like an idiot, staring at my own reflection in the glass. The security kid appeared on the other side. He looked confused, but he unlocked the door. Ms. Cross said to bring you straight to Conference B, he said. We took the elevator to 3. The hallway was different now, busier. People were moving fast, their faces tight. Someone was shouting behind a closed door. I caught the words exposure and liability and Jesus Christ. Conference room B was at the end of the hall. The security kid knocked once, then opened the door. The room was full. Jennifer Cross from Legal, Harold Stamm from HR, Cole Hather, his face pale, that smile completely gone, and 3 other people I didn't recognize in expensive suits, all of them looking at laptops like they'd just watched someone die. Mr. Alder, Cross said. She was a thin woman with short dark hair and the kind of eyes that never blinked. Thank you for coming back. Please, sit. I sat. Same power play chair as Hather's office, but this time everyone else was sitting too. We've been reviewing your original employment contract, Cross said. The one you signed when you were first hired, before the company was acquired, before the 2015 restructuring. Okay? Specifically, we've been reviewing the intellectual property clauses. She turned her laptop toward me. On the screen was a PDF of my contract, old formatting, different letterhead. I remembered signing it, remembered my wife reading it over my shoulder, pointing out the health insurance provisions, making sure the vacation days were reasonable. Cross pointed at a paragraph highlighted in yellow. This section, Section 7.3b. Do you remember this? I leaned forward. The text was small, dense, legal language designed to obscure rather than clarify. Employee retains intellectual ownership of all patents, designs, and proprietary methodologies developed during the course of employment unless said contributions are specifically purchased by the employer through a separate buyout agreement, with terms to be negotiated in good faith at the time of said purchase. I read it twice, then a third time. I don't understand, I said. It means, Cross said slowly, that you own your patents, all of them. The micro-rotor designs, the efficiency improvements, the thermal management systems. Everything you developed while working here, you own them, not the company. The room was very quiet. That can't be right, I said. I licensed those patents to the company. That was part of my job. You granted a license, yes, but you retained ownership, and according to this clause, the company was supposed to negotiate a buyout at the time those patents were filed. They never did. So what does that mean? Cole Hather spoke for the first time. His voice was different now, smaller. It means, he said, that the company has been using your intellectual property for 16 years without actually owning it. It means that the new product line we've been developing, the one we've been pitching to investors for the last 6 months, is built entirely on patents you own. I looked around the table. Every face was pale. Every set of eyes was trying very hard not to meet mine. How much is that product line worth? I asked. Nobody answered. How much? Projected revenue over 5 years is approximately $400 million, one of the suits said quietly. $400 million, built on my work, using my patents, without paying me a single cent beyond my salary. I started laughing, couldn't help it. It came out harsh and ugly, echoing off the glass walls. So, you fired me, I said, and then immediately realized I own the thing your entire company is built on. We're prepared to negotiate a purchase agreement, Cross said quickly. Retroactive licensing fees plus a buyout of future rights. We can have papers drawn up by end of week. How much? We're authorized to offer $2 million. $2 million. For patents worth $400 million in revenue. That's generous, I said flatly. Hather stood abruptly. We need to make an emergency call to the board. Excuse me. He left the room. Through the glass wall, I could see him pacing in the hallway, phone pressed to his ear. His free hand was making agitated gestures, like he was trying to swat invisible flies. I turned back to Cross. What happens if I don't sell? Then the company can't legally manufacture or sell any products utilizing your patented technology, which is most of our current catalog and all of our new development. So the company stops. Yes. And you just realized this today. We had no reason to review contracts from before the acquisition. The assumption was that all IP had been transferred during the buyout in 2015. But it wasn't. No. I stood up. Everyone in the room tensed. I need to think about this, I said. I'll call you tomorrow. Mr. Alder, please understand the urgency. I understand just fine, I said. You need me more than I need you. That's a new feeling. I'm going to enjoy it for a little while. I walked out, left them sitting there with their laptops and their panic and their $2 million insult. The security kid was waiting in the hallway. Do you need an escort out, sir? I know the way. I took the elevator down alone. The blonde receptionist watched me walk past but didn't say anything. The doors unlocked when I approached. My car was still in the corner, Bach still in the passenger seat. I got in, started the engine, sat there. Through the windshield, I could see the third-floor windows, movement behind the glass, people running between offices. The whole building seemed to be vibrating with panic. I'd walked in this morning thinking I was about to lose everything. Turned out, I owned everything instead. My phone rang again. Different number this time. I looked at the screen. Froze. It was Evan. My son. "Dad?" His voice was tight. "Did you go into the office today?" "Yeah." "Did you talk to anyone in legal?" "Yeah." Silence on the line. I could hear him breathing. "Dad, we need to talk. Can you come over tonight? Lena's coming too. We all need to discuss this as a family." Lena, my daughter. Both of them worked for the same company I'd just been fired from. Both of them in management positions I'd helped them get, calling in favors, writing recommendations, pulling strings I didn't even know I had. "What do we need to discuss?" I asked. "Just come over. 8 o'clock. Please." He hung up before I could answer. I sat there in my car, in the parking lot of a company that had just tried to throw me away, staring at my phone. 8 o'clock. Both kids. Emergency family meeting. They knew. The thought came cold and certain. They'd known about the patents, about the contract, about all of it. And they'd said nothing. I put the car in drive and headed home. I had 9 hours to figure out exactly how bad this was going to get. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. My house was exactly as I'd left it that morning. Dishes in the sink, coffee mug on the counter, mail on the table I hadn't bothered to open. The place had a particular kind of silence to it, the kind that settles in after someone dies and never quite leaves. My wife had picked out the paint colors, the furniture, the stupid decorative plates on the walls. I'd kept meaning to change things, make it feel less like a museum to her memory, but I never had the energy. Easier to just live around the ghosts. I dropped my box of office garbage on the kitchen counter and opened the fridge. 2 beers left from a 6-pack I'd bought 3 weeks ago. Leftover Chinese in a container that might be older than I wanted to think about. A block of cheese that had seen better days. I took both beers, figured I'd earned them. The living room couch sagged when I sat down. I'd been meaning to replace it for years. My wife used to joke that it had a permanent imprint of my ass in the cushions. She wasn't wrong. I pulled out my phone and did what any rational person would do when their life implodes. I Googled my own patents. There were 7 of them, all filed between 2011 and 2019, all related to micro-rotor systems, rotational efficiency, thermal management, the kind of unglamorous engineering work that makes modern life possible, but that nobody thinks about. Your laptop fan, your car's cooling system, the industrial ventilation keeping Amazon warehouses from turning into ovens. All of it came from variations on designs I'd developed. I clicked through to the Patent Office database, found my name listed as the inventor on every single one, but the assignee, the legal owner, was listed as Alder Graham P. Not the company. Me. Jesus Christ, they were right. I really did own all of it. I pulled up the company's investor presentations. They were public, available on their website for anyone who wanted to see how they were spending shareholder money. Glossy graphics, bold projections, 3 new product lines launching over the next 18 months, all of them built on proprietary micro-rotor technology. My technology, my proprietary designs. They'd been selling shares in a company built on patents they didn't own. The beer tasted sour in my mouth. I checked the clock. 4:30. Still 3.5 hours before I was supposed to show up at Evan's place and pretend this was all going to be fine. My phone buzzed. Text message from Lena. "Dad, really important you come tonight. Don't talk to any lawyers before we meet, please." Don't talk to any lawyers. That's what you tell someone when you're about to screw them and you need them uninformed. I texted back, "I'll be there." Then I called a lawyer anyway. His name was Dennis Volk. We'd gone to college together about 1,000 years ago, back when we both had hair and ambition. He'd gone into intellectual property law. I'd gone into engineering. We got together for drinks maybe once a year, mostly to complain about our jobs and our kids and the inevitable decay of our bodies. He answered on the third ring. "Graham, what's wrong?" "Why does something have to be wrong?" "Because you never call me unless you need something. Last time was when your wife died and you needed help with her estate." "Fair point." "I need IP advice," I said. "Patents, ownership questions. Can you talk?" "Hold on." I heard him say something muffled to someone else, then a door closing. "Okay, I've got 10 minutes. What's going on?" I told him. All of it. The termination, the contract, the emergency meeting, the patents I apparently owned without realizing it. The company built on my work. Dennis was quiet for a long moment after I finished. "Graham, do you understand what you're sitting on?" "Patents?" "Leverage. Enormous, company-destroying leverage. If what you're telling me is accurate, and I'd need to see the actual contract to be sure, you could shut down their entire operation with a single cease and desist letter." "That seems extreme." "That seems warranted. They've been using your IP without a proper agreement for over a decade. They owe you back royalties. They owe you damages. And they sure as hell can't sell products based on your patents without your permission." "They offered me $2 million to buy me out." Dennis laughed. Actually laughed, sharp and bitter. $2 million for patents generating $400 million in revenue? Graham, that's insulting. That's actively insulting. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And for God's sake, don't let them pressure you into a quick settlement. My kids want to talk to me tonight. Both of them work for the company. Don't tell them anything. Not until we figure out your actual position. Can you send me a copy of that contract and the patent numbers? Yeah. Do it now. I'll review everything tonight and call you tomorrow morning. In the meantime, remember, you hold all the cards. They need you. You don't need them. We hung up. I forwarded him photos of the contract sections and the patent information. Then I sat there on my saggy couch, drinking warm beer, watching the afternoon light fade through the windows my wife had insisted on keeping uncovered because she liked to see the trees. The trees were bare now, November cold. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Lena. "Rachel is making dinner. Your favorite. Please come." Rachel, Evan's wife, the woman who documented every meal on Instagram like she was running a food magazine instead of heating up Trader Joe's in a McMansion. My favorite. That was a nice touch. They were already working the emotional angles. I texted back a thumbs up. Didn't trust myself with actual words. The clock crawled toward 8. I showered, changed into clean clothes, stood in front of the mirror in my bedroom and barely recognized the man looking back. When had I gotten so old? When had the lines around my mouth gotten so deep? My wife's photo was on the dresser, taken 10 years ago before the cancer, when her hair was still thick and her smile still reached her eyes. She was wearing that blue dress she loved, the one I'd bought her for our anniversary. "I don't know what to do," I told her picture. "They're going to try to screw me. Our kids, they're going to sit there and smile and try to take everything." The photo didn't answer. It never did. I grabbed my keys and headed out. Evan lived 30 minutes away in a neighborhood where all the houses looked the same. Big garages, manicured lawns, HOA regulations about trash can placement. The kind of place where you needed permission to paint your own front door. His driveway had 2 cars in it, his Tesla and Lena's Lexus. Both of them leased through company benefits packages, I'd bet. Both of them parked like they owned the world. I pulled in behind them and sat there for a moment, engine off, staring at the house. Lights on in every window. I could see movement through the front curtains. They were waiting for me. I got out, locked my car, walked up the stone path they'd probably paid someone to install. The door opened before I could knock. Evan stood there in what he probably thought was casual wear, expensive jeans, button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, hair gelled just right. He looked like every middle management clone in every corporate office in America. "Dad," he said, smiling, Thanks for coming. He stepped aside. I walked in. The house smelled like garlic and rosemary. Rachel appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She was wearing an apron that said, "Blessed," in cursive script. "Graham," she said warmly. "So glad you could make it. Dinner's almost ready." Lena was in the living room, sitting on the leather couch with her husband, Marcus, beside her. She stood when she saw me, came over, hugged me. It felt like being hugged by a corporate lawyer. "Hi, Dad," she said. "How are you holding up?" "Fine. We heard about the termination. That's terrible. Such bad timing." Bad timing. Like they didn't know it was coming. Marcus stayed on the couch, gave me a little wave. He was in finance consulting, which seemed to mean he spent all day in meetings talking about other people's money. His haircut probably cost more than my monthly car payment. "Have a seat," Evan said. "Can I get you something to drink? Beer? Wine?" "Water's fine." I sat in the armchair by the window. Everyone else arranged themselves on the couch and love seat, forming a little semicircle facing me, like an intervention. Rachel brought me water in a glass with a lemon slice, set it on a coaster on the side table, smiled. "Dinner will be ready in about 20 minutes, she said. "We're having pot roast." "Great." She retreated to the kitchen. The rest of us sat there in awkward silence. Finally, Lena spoke. "Dad, we wanted to talk to you about what happened today, about the contract issue." "What about it?" "We just want to make sure you're handling this the right way. This is a complicated legal situation. You shouldn't make any rash decisions." "What kind of decisions would be rash?" Evan leaned forward. "Look, Dad, we get it. You're upset about being let go. That's understandable. But this patent thing, it's not as simple as legal made it sound. There are a lot of factors at play." "Like what?" "Like the fact that you developed those patents using company resources, company equipment, company time. There's an argument to be made that the company has rights even without explicit ownership." I sipped my water. Let the silence stretch. "You're saying I don't actually own the patents that are listed under my name?" "We're saying it's complicated," Lena said. "And if you try to push this too hard, you could end up in court for years. Legal battles are expensive, stressful, and you're not exactly young anymore, Dad." "Not exactly young anymore." "How long have you known about this?" I asked. They glanced at each other, just for a second. But I saw it. "Known about what?" Evan asked. "About the patents, about the contract clause, about the fact that the company didn't own my work." "Dad, how long?" Lena set down her wine glass, took a breath. "We became aware of a potential IP issue about 4 months ago," she said carefully. "During the due diligence process for the new product line, legal was reviewing all the patents and found some irregularities in the ownership documentation." 4 months. They'd known for 4 months. "And you didn't tell me." "We didn't want to worry you," Evan said. "We were trying to handle it internally, make sure everything was squared away before it became a problem." "Handle it how?" Another glance between them. "We were working with legal to establish a clear chain of ownership," Lena said. "Documenting the history of the patents, the work you did, the resources used, building a case for why the company should be considered the rightful owner despite the contract language. Building a case against me. Not against you, Dad. For the company. There's a difference." "Is there?" Marcus spoke for the first time. "Graham, you have to understand the position the company is in. They've made commitments to investors based on these product lines. If you suddenly pull the patents out from under them, thousands of people lose their jobs. Shareholders lose millions. It's not just about you." "No," I said. "It's about $400 million in revenue built on my work that I've never been paid for." "You were paid a salary," Evan said. "A good salary. For 16 years. For engineering work. Not for patent ownership." "Dad." Lena's voice had gone soft, almost pleading. We're trying to help you. We're trying to find a solution that works for everyone. But you have to be reasonable. You have to think about the bigger picture. I stood up. What's the bigger picture? They looked at each other again. This time the glance lasted longer. Some kind of silent communication happening that I wasn't part of. The company is prepared to make you a very generous offer, Lena said. More than the 2 million legal mentioned, much more. Enough that you could retire comfortably, travel, do whatever you want with the rest of your life. How much more? 5 million, Evan said, and a consulting contract. 200,000 a year for the next 5 years, plus full benefits. $5 million, plus $1 million in consulting fees, 6 million total, for patents worth 400 million in revenue. That's 15%, I said. You're offering me 15% of what it's worth. That's a life-changing amount of money, Marcus said. Most people would jump at an offer like that. Most people didn't spend 16 years designing the technology you're selling. Dad. Evan stood up too, came toward me, put his hand on my shoulder like we were still close, like he still had the right to touch me. Please, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Take the money, sign the papers. Everyone wins. I looked at his hand on my shoulder, then at his face, at the concern there that didn't quite reach his eyes. Everyone wins, I repeated. Yes. Except I'm the one who actually created the value, and I'm the one getting paid a fraction of what it's worth. You're thinking like an engineer, Lena said. This isn't about what's fair. It's about what's smart, what's practical. What's smart is not letting my own children rob me. The room went very quiet. Rachel appeared in the doorway. Dinner's ready. Nobody moved. Did you know? I asked, looking at Rachel. About the patents? She glanced at Evan. I don't really understand all the business stuff. But you knew they were trying to buy me out. Evan said you were being difficult about some contract thing. I turned to Marcus. And you? He shrugged. Lena mentioned it. Seemed like a good deal to me. 6 million for work you've already done? That's free money. Free money. For the patents that had built their careers. I walked toward the door. Dad, wait. Lena stood. Don't leave like this. We can talk about this. If 6 million isn't enough, maybe we can negotiate. You were planning to cut me out completely, I said. Weren't you? Silence. That's what this whole thing is. You found out about the contract clause months ago. You tried to build a case for why the company owned my work, and when that didn't work, you came up with this. A buyout. Get me to sign away my rights for a fraction of what they're worth. It's not like that, Evan said. Then what's it like? He hesitated, just for a moment. But I saw the calculation behind his eyes, the weighing of options, the decision about how much truth he could afford to tell. The company needs those patents, he said finally. We've built everything around them. If you force the issue, if you demand full ownership rights and royalties, the company can't survive. We all lose our jobs, including Lena and me. So you were protecting yourselves? We were protecting everyone, including you. You think having a bunch of worthless patents does you any good if the company collapses? Who's going to license technology from a failed business? Other companies. Dad, you're 56 years old. You've never sold a patent in your life. You wouldn't know where to start. You'd end up with nothing. At least this way you get paid. I opened the front door. Cold air rushed in. Dad, please, Lena said. Think about this. Sleep on it. We can talk again tomorrow when everyone's calmer. I don't think so. We're your family, Evan said. We're trying to help you. I looked back at them. My son and daughter, my son-in-law and daughter-in-law, all of them standing there in their expensive house with their expensive clothes, trying to convince me to give up everything I'd built so they could keep their comfortable lives. No, I said. You're trying to help yourselves. There's a difference. I walked out, got in my car, pulled out of their driveway while they stood in the doorway watching me leave. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I drove for a while without any destination in mind. Just drove. Through neighborhoods with Christmas lights already up, past strip malls and gas stations and the high school where both my kids had graduated. Eventually, I ended up in a supermarket parking lot. Late night, nearly empty, just a few scattered cars under the harsh fluorescent lights. I parked in the far corner and sat there. My phone buzzed. Text from Evan. "Dad, you're being unreasonable. We're trying to help. Call me when you're ready to be rational." I deleted it. Another buzz. Text from Lena. "Please don't do anything hasty. Think about what's best for everyone. Love you." I deleted that too. Then I opened my email. Scrolled back 4 months. Started looking for anything that might tell me exactly when they'd found out about the patents. It took me 20 minutes of searching, but I found it. An email from Lena to Evan, forwarded to me accidentally as part of a larger chain, buried in a conversation about Thanksgiving plans from last year. The subject line was, "Dad's patent issue, strategy session." I opened it. "Evan, legal confirmed Graham's patents are actually his. The 2009 contract is airtight. We need to figure out how to handle this before he finds out. If he realizes what he's sitting on, he could destroy everything we've built. Can we meet this week? Bring Marcus. We need a financial angle." The email was dated July 15th, 4.5 months ago. They'd known, they'd planned, they'd strategized, and they'd said nothing. I sat there in that parking lot staring at my phone, feeling something cold and sharp crystallizing in my chest. Not anger. Not yet. Just clarity. My kids had chosen sides. They'd chosen the company over me, their careers over their father. They'd looked at the situation and decided I was the problem that needed to be managed. And they'd done it all with smiles and hugs and pot roast dinners. I forwarded the email to Dennis Volk. Added a note. "Found this. Call me first thing tomorrow." Then I started the car and drove home. The house was dark when I got there. Cold, empty. I didn't turn on the lights, just sat in my kitchen in the dark, drinking a beer, thinking about what came next. They wanted me to be reasonable, to be practical, to understand the bigger picture. Fine, I'd be reasonable. I'd be very reasonable. But I'd be reasonable on my terms, not theirs. I pulled out my laptop, started making notes. Every patent, every product, every revenue stream I could find in the company's public filings that depended on my work. By midnight, I had a list. By 2 a.m., I had a plan. By sunrise, I was ready to stop being the father they could manage and start being the problem they couldn't solve. The $60 million hit my account on Thursday. I watched the numbers appear on my laptop screen and felt absolutely nothing. Just zeros. Digital abstractions that meant I never had to work again, never had to worry about mortgage payments or retirement or medical bills. Empty victories for an empty house. Dennis called that afternoon to confirm receipt and discuss next steps. Revenue share agreements, tax implications, investment strategies. I let him talk and made appropriate noises when it seemed required. "You should celebrate," he said. "This is a life-changing amount of money." "Sure." "Graham, are you okay?" "Fine." "You don't sound fine." "I'm $60 million richer and I haven't spoken to my children in 3 days. How should I sound?" Silence on the other end. Then, "They've been calling my office. Evan called twice yesterday. Lena called this morning." "What did they want?" "To talk to you, to explain, to apologize. I don't know. I didn't ask." "Good." "Graham, don't." "Don't what?" "Don't tell me I should forgive them. Don't tell me family is important. Don't give me any of that reconciliation garbage." I wasn't going to. I was going to say that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's exactly the kind of garbage I'm talking about. Maybe, but it's also true. I hung up. My refrigerator was empty except for those same 2 beers from days ago and the increasingly suspicious Chinese food. I should have gone shopping, should have done laundry, should have done any of the 100 small tasks that make up a functional life. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table and Googled my kids. Evan's LinkedIn had been updated, no longer listed as employed, no longer affiliated with the company. His profile picture was the same one he'd been using for 5 years, back when he thought he was going places. Lena's profile was completely gone, deleted, like she'd decided to erase herself from professional existence rather than face the questions. I found a forum thread on some tech industry site discussing the settlement. Someone had leaked details. People were debating whether I was a hero standing up for inventors' rights or a vindictive old man destroying his own family for petty revenge. The consensus seemed to be both. One comment stuck with me. Imagine creating something valuable and watching your own kids try to steal it. I'd burn the whole thing down too. Another. Imagine having so much pride that you destroy your children's lives rather than compromise. This guy's a monster. I closed the laptop. My phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Alder, this is Catherine Simmons from Tech Innovation Magazine. I'm writing a piece about your settlement with the company. Do you have time for a few questions? No. I understand this is a difficult time, but... I hung up. It rang again. Different number, different reporter. Same questions. I turned off my phone. The house was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, the furnace clicking on, the sound of my own breathing. My wife used to say that silence was healing, that sometimes you needed to sit with your thoughts, let them settle, find peace in the stillness. My wife was wrong. Silence wasn't healing. It was just empty space where other sounds should be. Children laughing, grandchildren someday, family dinners and stupid arguments over nothing, and all the messy, complicated love that makes life worth living. I'd traded all of that for $60 million and the satisfaction of being right. The satisfaction was fading fast. I slept on the couch that night. Couldn't face going upstairs to the bedroom where my wife had died, where I'd spent 2 years sleeping on one side of the bed like she might come back any moment. Dreamed about nothing. Woke up at 4 a.m. with my neck stiff and my back aching. Made coffee, sat in the dark, watched the sun come up. Friday morning, a car pulled into my driveway. I watched through the window as a woman in a business suit got out. She was carrying a briefcase and had that particular combination of determination and exhaustion that marked her as either a lawyer or a salesperson. She knocked. I answered. Mr. Alder? I'm Jennifer Cross. We met at the company. I remember. What do you want? To talk. May I come in? No. She glanced past me into my empty living room. I understand you're angry. Do you? Mr. Alder, I'm not here on behalf of the company. I'm here because your children asked me to talk to you. Tell them to go to hell. They know they made mistakes. They know they handled this badly, but they're still your children. They still love you, and they're asking for a chance to explain. They had months to explain. They chose not to. Because they were scared. Because they didn't want to upset you. Because they thought they were protecting everyone. They were protecting themselves. There's a difference. Cross shifted her briefcase from one hand to the other. Mr. Alder, I've seen a lot of corporate disputes, a lot of families torn apart by money and business and pride. You know what they all have in common? 10 years later, nobody remembers what the fight was about. They just remember that they're alone. Is that supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you think. I've done plenty of thinking. Now I'm done talking. I closed the door in her face, watched through the window as she stood there for a moment, then walked back to her car. She sat in the driver's seat for a long time before finally starting the engine and leaving. My phone rang. I'd turned it back on to check the settlement transfer. Mistake. It was Dennis. The company wants to rehire you, he said. What? Full position restoration. Vice President of Engineering, 200,000 base salary plus stock options. They've fired the entire executive team that was involved in the termination decision. Clean slate. Why? Because their stock is still falling and they need a PR win. Bringing back the genius engineer they wronged, giving him a leadership position, making things right. It's a good story. Investors like good stories. Tell them no. Graham, this is a hell of an opportunity. Control over the department, huge salary, vindication. I don't want vindication. I want to be left alone. Then what do you want? I already told you. I want to never see any of them again. Including your kids? Especially my kids. Dennis sighed. Okay, I'll tell them. One more thing. What? You're fired. Excuse me? You're my lawyer. You work for me, and I'm tired of you second-guessing my decisions and trying to talk me into forgiving people who don't deserve it. So you're fired. Send me a final bill. Graham, thanks for your help with the settlement. Goodbye. I hung up, blocked his number. Then I went through my contacts and blocked everyone else too. Every number associated with the company. Every number associated with my kids. Every reporter who'd tried to call. Every well-meaning friend who'd heard about the situation and wanted to check in. Blocked them all. The doorbell rang again that evening. I didn't answer. Rang again the next morning. Didn't answer. Someone left a package on my porch. I brought it inside. Opened it. Letters. Handwritten letters from Evan and Lena. The motel room smelled like cigarettes and industrial cleaner. The bedspread had stains I didn't want to think about. The TV got 3 channels and none of them worked properly. It was perfect. I stayed there for a week, eating gas station food, watching static-filled news, ignoring the real estate agent's calls about offers on the house, ignoring everything. On day 5, I turned on my phone long enough to check my email. 47 messages. Most of them from reporters. A few from former co-workers expressing concern or congratulations, depending on their perspective. Several from financial advisors who'd heard about the settlement and wanted to help me manage my windfall. One from Lena with the subject line, "Please read this." I opened it. Dad, I know you probably won't read this. I know you've blocked our numbers and you're not taking calls, but I need to try one more time, not to ask for forgiveness, not to make excuses, just to tell you the truth. We made a terrible mistake. When legal found the patent issue, Evan and I panicked. We'd both worked so hard to get where we were in the company. We'd sacrificed relationships, time, everything to build our careers. And suddenly all of that was at risk because of a contract clause from 15 years ago. So we made a choice, a selfish, terrible choice. We decided to protect ourselves instead of protecting you. We told ourselves it was for the good of the company, for all the employees who would lose their jobs if things fell apart. But that was a lie. We were protecting ourselves, our positions, our egos, our fear of failure, and we lost the most important thing we had, you. I don't expect you to forgive us. I don't even expect you to respond. I just need you to know that we understand what we did. We understand why you're angry. And we're sorry. Not because we lost our jobs. Not because our marriages fell apart. But because we lost you. I love you, Dad. I'm so sorry. Lena. I read it twice. Then I closed my laptop. On day 8, I checked out of the motel. The clerk was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a tired smile. "Hope your stay was comfortable," she said. "It was fine." "You passing through or staying local?" "Passing through." "Where you headed?" "Somewhere else." She handed me my receipt. "Well, good luck with wherever that is." I got in my car and drove north. No destination in mind, just following roads and signs and impulse. Ended up in a small town 3 states away. The kind of place with 1 main street, 3 churches, and a diner that looked like it hadn't changed since 1975. Found a short-term rental, furnished apartment above a hardware store, month-to-month lease, no questions asked beyond first and last month's rent in cash. The apartment had bare walls, scratched floors, and appliances from sometime during the Reagan administration. The view was a parking lot. It was perfect. I settled into a routine. Wake up, coffee, walk around town, lunch at the diner, more walking, dinner from the grocery store, sleep, nobody knew me, nobody asked questions. I was just some old guy who'd moved to town for reasons of his own. The real estate agent sold my house in 3 weeks, called to tell me the news, excited about the multiple offers over asking price. The buyers are a young family, she said. 2 kids. They loved the backyard, said it was perfect for their children. Great. I'll have the paperwork ready by end of week. Where should I send it? I gave her the address of a UPS store 1 town over. Didn't want anyone having my real location. Are you doing okay, Mr. Alder? You sound... I'm fine. Just send the papers. The house closed on a Thursday. The wire transfer hit my account that afternoon. Another $160,000 on top of the $60 million. I felt nothing. That night, I sat in my bare apartment eating microwaved soup and thought about the family who'd bought my house. 2 kids, probably around the same age Evan and Lena had been when we'd first moved in there. Their whole lives ahead of them. I wondered if those kids would grow up to betray their parents too. My phone rang. I'd kept it off for weeks, but had turned it on to coordinate with the real estate agent. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Graham. A woman's voice. Familiar, but I couldn't place it. Who is this? It's Jennifer Cross. Please don't hang up. How did you get this number? Your lawyer gave it to me before you fired him. Graham, I need to talk to you. It's about Evan. I don't care about Evan. He's in the hospital. That stopped me. What? He's in the hospital. Pills. His neighbor found him and called 911. He's going to live, but... I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. I turned it off, set it on the counter, stared at it. My son, my firstborn, the kid who'd learned to ride a bike in our driveway and graduated top of his class and got his first job at the company where I'd worked because I'd made a phone call to the hiring manager. Because of what I'd done? No. Because of what he'd done, what they'd both done. They'd made their choices. I'd made mine. That wasn't on me. Except it was. I'd destroyed his career, ended his marriage, ruined his reputation, taken away everything that gave his life structure and meaning. And I'd done it knowing exactly what would happen. I picked up the phone, turned it on, called Jennifer Cross back. What hospital? St. Catherine's, 4th floor. But, Graham, I should warn you. I hung up, looked up the hospital address, 5 hours away. I grabbed my keys. The drive was a blur. Highway lights and mile markers, and my mind running in circles. My son had been so broken by what I'd done that he'd tried to end his life. Was that what I'd wanted? Had I pushed things this far? Yes, that's exactly what I'd wanted. Total destruction, complete devastation, make them feel what I'd felt. Mission accomplished. The hospital was a sprawling complex on the edge of the city. I parked in the visitor lot and walked through the automatic doors into the fluorescent hell of modern medicine. 4th floor, room 412. I stood outside the door for a long time. Through the small window I could see Evan lying in the bed. He looked smaller than I remembered, thinner. There were tubes and wires and monitors. His face was pale. His eyes were closed. Lena was sitting in a chair beside the bed. She looked worse than him. Unwashed hair. Dark circles under her eyes. Clothes that looked like she'd been wearing them for days. She was holding his hand. I pushed open the door. Lena looked up. Her eyes went wide. Dad. Evan's eyes opened. Found mine. We stared at each other. You came? He said. His voice was hoarse. Jennifer called. I told her not to. Good thing she didn't listen. Silence. The machines beeped. Somewhere down the hall, someone was crying. I didn't want you to see me like this, Evan said. Too late. I'm sorry. For what? Both. Everything. All of it. Lena stood up. Dad, please don't. Don't what? Don't be angry. Don't point out that he made his choices. Don't mention that this entire situation exists because you both decided to screw me over. We know, Lena said. We know what we did. We've known for months. We're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything. Neither does this, Evan said. He gestured weakly at the hospital room. Neither does destroying us. Neither does revenge. It just makes everyone miserable. You should have thought about that before. You're right, we should have, but we didn't. And now here we are. Lena's marriage fell apart. You're alone in some apartment somewhere pretending you're happy. Nobody won. Everyone lost. I looked at him, at the tubes and wires keeping him alive, at my daughter who looked like she'd aged 10 years in 2 months. Why'd you do it? I asked. The pills. Evan's eyes filled with tears. Because I couldn't fix it. I couldn't fix what I'd done to you. Couldn't fix my career. Couldn't fix my marriage. Couldn't fix anything. And I kept thinking about how disappointed Mom would be, how she'd raised us to be better than this. And I couldn't stand it. So you tried to check out? Yeah. Coward's way, I know. Your mother would have been more disappointed about this than about the patent thing. I know. I pulled up a chair, sat down heavily. The three of us sat there in that hospital room, not saying anything. The machines kept beeping. The fluorescent lights kept humming. I should have told you, Lena said finally. When we found out about the patents, I should have come to you immediately and said, Dad, there's a problem with your contract, and we need to figure out how to handle this. Instead, I panicked and made the worst possible choice. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't undo it. I know, but it's all I have. Is it? I looked at her. You could have fought harder. When the company started pushing to cut me out, you could have refused. You could have quit. You could have done a lot of things instead of going along with it. You're right. But you didn't. Because your career was more important than your father. Yes. The admission hung in the air between us. At least you're honest, I said. I'm trying to be better. About a lot of things. Evan shifted in the bed. Winced. Dad, I don't expect you to forgive us. I don't even expect you to stick around. But I need you to know something. You won. You destroyed us. You took everything. And you were justified in doing it. We betrayed you. We deserve what happened. But Mom wouldn't have wanted this. She wouldn't have wanted us here, like this, hating each other. I know. But she'd still be disappointed. In all of us. You for going this far. Us for making you feel like you had to. He was right. My wife would have been horrified by all of this. By what her children had done, and by how I'd responded. She'd always believed in forgiveness, in second chances, in the fundamental importance of family. I didn't come here to forgive you, I said. Then why did you come? Lena asked. Because Jennifer said you were in the hospital and I stopped, tried to find the words. You still care, Evan said softly, even after everything. You still care. Caring doesn't fix this. No, but it's something. I stood up. I need to think. About what? About whether I can live with what I've done. About whether destroying you both was worth the price. About a lot of things. Will you come back? Lena asked. I don't know. I walked toward the door. Dad. Evan's voice stopped me. Thank you for coming. Even if you never come back, thank you for this. I left without responding, got in my car, drove back to my bare apartment above the hardware store in a town where nobody knew me, lay on my bed staring at the ceiling, not because of what he'd done, because of how I'd responded. I'd won the battle, destroyed my enemies, taken everything they'd built and burned it to the ground, and all it had cost me was my family and my humanity. The question was, had it been worth it? I didn't know, and that was the scariest part. I didn't go back to the hospital, Didn't call, didn't text, just went back to my routine. Wake up, coffee, walk, diner, sleep. But now the routine felt different. Before, the emptiness had felt like peace, like freedom from complications. Now it just felt empty. A week after visiting the hospital, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mr. Alder, this is Dr. Sarah Venkman from St. Catherine's. I'm your son's psychiatrist. Is he okay? Physically, yes. He's been discharged. But Mr. Alder, I'm calling because I'm concerned. Your son is displaying signs of severe depression and PTSD. He needs support right now. Family support. He has his sister. His sister is dealing with her own crisis. Mr. Alder, I don't usually make calls like this, but I've been in practice for 20 years, and I've seen what happens when families fracture completely. The outcomes aren't good. Whatever happened between you, your son needs you right now. What he needed was to not betray me. I understand you're hurt, but holding on to that hurt is destroying both of you. I'm not asking you to forgive him. I'm asking you to be present, to at least talk to him. Can you do that? I don't know. Then figure it out. Because right now you have two choices. You can hold on to your anger and watch your son destroy himself. Or you can put aside your pride and maybe, possibly start rebuilding something. Your choice. She hung up. I sat there with the phone in my hand. Your choice, like it was that simple. Like I could just decide to forgive betrayal and move on. Like 2 years of planning and revenge and destruction could be undone with a conversation. But the truth was, I was tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of being alone. Tired of waking up every morning in a strange apartment with nothing to do and nowhere to go. I'd spent my whole life building things, engineering solutions, solving problems, creating systems that worked, and I'd spent the last few months destroying everything I'd built. Maybe it was time to try building again. I called Lena. She answered on the first ring. Dad? Is Evan still in the hospital? No, he's staying with me, at my apartment. We're both… She stopped. I heard her voice crack. We're both kind of a mess. Are you safe? Is he safe? I think so. I hope so. I'm watching him, making sure he takes his medication, making sure he's not alone. It's all I can do. That's good. Silence. Dad, why are you calling? I don't know. Are you going to tell us to go to hell again? Probably should. But you're not going to? I haven't decided yet. More silence. I could hear her breathing, hear traffic in the background. Where are you? I asked. Outside. On the balcony. I needed air. Watching Evan all day is… She stopped again. He's not the same person anymore. None of us are. No. I got a job, she said suddenly. Nothing fancy. Administrative assistant at a law firm. It's barely above minimum wage and it's nothing like what I used to do, but it's something. It's a start. That's good. Evan's applying places too. But nobody will hire him. The patent thing is all anyone can find when they Google his name. He's basically unhireable. He should change his name. He shouldn't have to. He made mistakes, but… She stopped. Actually, no. You're right. He made his choices. We both did. We're living with them. What about your husband, Marcus? Ex-husband. Divorce was final last week. He married someone else already, some woman from his firm. Apparently, they'd been seeing each other for months before he filed. So that's fun. I'm sorry. Are you, though? You wanted us to suffer. Mission accomplished. The anger in her voice was new. Or maybe not new. Maybe just finally surfacing. You're right, I said. I did want you to suffer. I wanted you both to feel exactly what I felt. Well, congratulations. We do. We feel it every day. When I wake up alone in my crappy apartment. When Evan stares at the wall for hours like he's not even here. When we both realize we destroyed our relationship with our father over a stupid corporate power play. We feel it. Trust me. Good. Is it, though? Is it actually good? Do you feel better knowing we're miserable? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said finally. I don't. Then what was the point? Justice, consequences, making sure you understood that actions have repercussions. We understand. Lesson learned. What now? I don't know. Well, when you figure it out, let me know. Because Evan asks about you every day. He wants to know if you're okay, if you're safe, if you're eating properly. So yeah, Dad. What now? She hung up. I sat there on my second-hand couch in my bare apartment and realized something fundamental. I'd won the war. But I didn't know how to handle the peace. The revenge had been easy, logical, clear objectives with measurable outcomes, destroy their careers, ruin their reputations, take everything they'd built, check, check, check. But now what? I couldn't undestroy their careers, couldn't undo the public humiliation, couldn't erase the months of pain and anger and separation. So what the hell was I supposed to do now? The answer came 2 days later when I got a call from the company. Mr. Alder, this is Angela Reeves, the new CEO. Congratulations on your promotion. Thank you. I'm calling because I'd like to discuss bringing you back in a consulting capacity. We've restructured the R&D department and we could really use your expertise. Not interested. Mr. Alder, I understand there's a lot of history here, but it's not about history. I don't want to work for your company. I don't want to work for any company. I'm done. May I ask what you're planning to do instead? I haven't figured that out yet. Well, if you change your mind, the offer stands. We'd be honored to have you back. After she hung up, I sat there thinking. The company wanted me back. They'd fired me, tried to steal from me, and now they wanted me to come save them. Typical. But what struck me was what she'd said. What are you planning to do instead? Good question. What was I planning to do with the rest of my life? Sit in this apartment? Walk around this town? Exist in isolation until I died? My wife would have hated that. She'd always said I needed projects, problems to solve, things to build. Without that, I was just a shell going through motions. She was right. I pulled out my laptop, started researching patent licensing, technology transfer, independent consulting. Ways to use what I knew without being beholden to companies that would screw me over. By midnight, I had an idea. By morning, I had a plan. I called Dennis. He answered warily. Graham, I didn't expect to hear from you. You're still fired as my lawyer. I assumed as much. But I need some business advice. Are you willing to consult on a new venture? Silence. Then, what kind of venture? I want to start a patent licensing company. Small operation. Just me. I license my existing patents to companies that actually need them. I develop new patents for specific applications, and I keep full ownership of everything. No corporate entanglements, no giving up rights, just straight licensing agreements with clear terms. That's actually a good idea. The market for independent patent licensing is growing. And with your reputation. My reputation is that I destroyed a company over an IP dispute. Your reputation is that you're an engineer who refused to be exploited. That actually plays pretty well in certain circles. A lot of small manufacturers would love to work with someone who understands the value of intellectual property. Can you help me set it up? I can, but Graham, I have to ask. Why now? What changed? I'm tired of being angry, tired of being alone, tired of destroying things. I want to build something again. What about your kids? What about them? Are you going to talk to them? I don't know. Maybe, eventually. But first, I need to figure out who I am without all the rage. Fair enough. I'll draw up incorporation papers. We'll need a business name. Alder Patent Solutions. Original. I'm an engineer, not a marketing department. He laughed. First time I'd heard him laugh in months. I'll have papers ready by end of week. We hung up. I looked around my bare apartment. At the life I'd been living. Empty, purposeless, waiting to die, time to stop waiting. I spent the next 3 weeks setting up the business, incorporation papers, website, outreach to potential clients, research into which industries needed the kind of technology I'd developed. Turns out there were a lot of them. Small manufacturers who couldn't afford big R&D departments, startups who needed proven technology, international companies looking to expand into U.S. markets. I started getting inquiries within a month, real inquiries from real companies with real budgets. By month 2, I had my first licensing deal, $50,000 upfront plus 2% royalties. Not huge, but it was mine. Built on my terms, no corporate interference, no betrayal, just clean business. I moved out of the apartment above the hardware store, got a better place with actual furniture and windows that overlooked something other than a parking lot. Started sleeping better, eating better, feeling like maybe I was a person again instead of just a collection of anger and revenge fantasies. But I still hadn't talked to my kids. Every few weeks, Lena would call, leave voicemails. Dad, just wanted to let you know we're okay. Evan's doing better. His therapist says he's making progress. I got promoted at the law firm. Nothing fancy, but it's something. Call us when you're ready. We'll be here. I never called back. Couldn't quite bring myself to take that step. Until one day my phone rang, and it was a number I didn't recognize with a local area code. Mr. Alder, this is Karen Chen from Memorial Hospital. You're listed as the emergency contact for your daughter, Lena. She was brought in about an hour ago. Car accident. She's stable, but... I didn't hear the rest. Just grabbed my keys and ran.